Hi, this is Margaret Byrd. Welcome to Color Quest and welcome to Junction Garden in Vassalboro, Maine. I have just completed a 3-day workshop entitled Harvesting Hues, and it was here right on this farm. I co-taught with one of my previous students by the name of Eileen who owns this incredible working farm and natural dye garden. And let me tell you something, we had quite an event. I'd like to show you around so that you can see all the fun that you missed and maybe come next time. So back in March of this year, when I hosted Cooking Color in Baja, in Todos Santos in Mexico, one of the incredible students that joined me was by the name of Eileen. And while we were down there, we started dreaming up a collaborative event here in Maine. I went to college here and I was definitely interested in coming back, especially after having spent days with her and see what an incredible natural color artist and knowledgeable person, as well as the fact that she is growing her own dye plants. Last week I had a video where I took you through the garden to get you familiar with all the beautiful things we were going to work on in this Harvesting Hues workshop, and that's exactly what we did. So let me give a quick rundown of the activities that we did and what we focused on a day by day, as well as introduce you to a few of the students who, by the way, I have to give a big shout out and a heartfelt thank you to Sherry, Rebecca, Liz, and Sally, all of whom attended here.
Hello. Sally?
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming to Harvesting Hues. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Well, thank you for taking the time to come to our beautiful state of Maine and experience it. It was a big deal for us to be able to study with you.
Well, I'm so grateful.
So this time of year, September here, everything is in full bloom at the end of the harvest season, and she had an incredible patch of fresh leaf indigo. This is one of my favorite natural dye plants to work with, and especially in the fresh leaf form because it is just so much fun. And we took the students through to do their own harvesting of the fresh leaf indigo, as well as a couple of different methods that were demonstrated and played around with, and that is the blender method with ice and the salt rub method. The latter one is my favorite. We got a lot of beautifully blue hands as they were in there mashing about their fresh leaf indigo, and interestingly enough, it was one of the favorite of all of the different processes and dye materials that we worked with. We also looked at tataki-zome, which is a Japanese art form of pounding with the fresh leaf, and we plucked some of those other beautiful dye flowers to add to the mix. We did that on paper so that they'd have a little living memory of some of the plants that we worked with. If you have fresh leaf indigo at your fingertips this time of year, definitely it is a plant that is so much fun to work with.
Oh my gosh, Liz, we just spent 3 days together.
We did.
Thank you so much for coming to Harvesting Hues. I feel so honored to have had you join us with your dear friend Sally. And I wondered, what was special for you about these 3 days?
Well, I think the thing I enjoyed the most learning about was the fresh leaf indigo. I had never even heard of it, to tell you the truth.
Show us your blue hands.
And show me your hands. Yes, yes. I'm proud of them.
Yes,
Yes,
fresh leaf
yes,
is amazing.
Yes,
so
it is.
Talk about that.
And that's something that I will do in the future. I will grow indigo in a pot because my gardens will be mostly for dye flowers.
Okay.
And so my pots will be separated and I will grow some indigo, and Sally and I and probably my sister will get together and do this together.
That's great.
Next summer.
Which one of the methods did you like, do you think, in working with fresh leaf?
probably the salt rub.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my favorite.
Yes, I think so. You had said it was your favorite, and I think that's what we seem to like.
And you really liked the lighter blues,
I
right?
like those
Or the sort of
turquoises,
turquoise.
those greenish blues, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like so much about it. I've done the that indigo, the dark blue and white, which I think is lovely.
Yeah.
But this was such a change for me, and very much the colors that I like to use.
Tried an experiment, and that is to see if we could welcome Indirubin, which is the reds, pinks, purples, yellows, and greens that you can find in fresh leaf indigo, by mashing up and placing that mash into a plastic bag in the sun. Make a little quick fermented oven out there and hope that maybe you'll welcome some of those colors. We tested it out. We got a tiny bit of Indirubin, but whatever you're gifted from the Indirubin fairies is well worth the effort.
What was maybe your favorite either plant that we worked with or process that we did on this particular class?
I think I've done the indigo, but in the vat, and that
Okay.
was something very different to experience, and something I think you could do very easily at home if you had
Right.
access to fresh indigo.
Show us your hands.
Yeah.
We're trying to show everyone the hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Badge of honor.
honor for
yeah, that's
fresh
right.
leaf.
That's right. And that's been exciting.
As you know, one of the most important things when working with natural dyes is the prep, especially with the fiber. So at the end of every day, we did fiber prep for the next day. We worked with silk and cotton as well as wool. We had the group scour their fibers as well as mordant. We looked at alum or aluminum potassium sulfate as well as aluminum acetate, since we had some cotton in the mix. And it was a wonderful way for people to get their hands in and involved to really understand how critical this step is in the whole natural dye process. Day 2 was all about botanical printing. This is definitely a fan favorite out there, and with all of these leaves you can see behind me, we had a lot to pick from. We sent everyone out to collect various types of leaves as well as more of the dye flowers from the garden, and they created 2 beautiful silk scarves using both a dye blanket as well as a mordant blanket. And what we did was dip our leaves in iron, and that mordant blanket was a tannin blanket, so we got that beautiful interaction with iron and tannin. We got some incredible results, and the creativity that this group put together to make lovely silk scarves that they could bring home was really awesome.
Hey, Sherry. Thank you so much for coming to Harvesting Hues. It was awesome to have you here. How did you feel overall about Harvesting Hues? Are you, excited to come here? Did you learn something new? Make some new friends?
Yes, yes, and yes. I have been following you for the last couple of months, and I performed a number of the experiments, but several of them were a little more complicated, and I wanted to do it in person.
Excellent.
And I'm so happy I did. I feel much more confident with the fresh leaf indigo after having done it with others around.
Show us your blue hand. Yay!
And it's dyeing with the blankets.
Botanical printing.
For the botanical printing.
And did you have one of your 2 that you preferred? We did a dye blanket with madder, and we did a tannin blanket to interact with iron.
I like them both for different reasons.
Okay.
Because I love iron and tannin, and
Yeah,
I
me too.
love the definition I got, especially with my raspberry leaves. Oh my gosh, they were amazing.
They were beautiful.
But with the madder, because I threw in my buckthorn berries, I just love that peachy tones of the madder with the blues of the berries.
I want to thank you for showing me your buckthorn experiments and also finding us some buckthorn.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to use that in a video at some point. It's been on my wish list, so thank you.
And what is botanical printing? If you do not try it out on cotton, which can be a little more tricky, as you well know. So we did some very simple bundle dyes on cotton using a scattered handful of both dried and fresh flowers. The results were absolutely beautiful, a little more playful and fun. We had some that decided to use barrier plastic in between to get more tight designs, and others who just threw caution to the wind and made these really colorful cotton pieces to bring home. And as we prepped for day 3 at the end, we went to the garden and we harvested fresh Weld. Weld creates an incredibly bright and vibrant yellow, and it is one of the most fast dye sources out there, so it stays longer and stronger against air, water, and light, and makes the most vibrant yellow. Working with fresh was super fun for me. I've only ever worked with dried Weld, and we got our yellow cooking up in the dye pot. While that was happening, the students got more cotton to practice some different binding techniques. We looked at Kumo and Namaki tie, as well as one of my favorites, which is called Cloud, so that we could place them into the Weld bath so that we could look towards day 3, where we would be expanding our color palette. And let me tell you, that is exactly what we did. So on day 3, with a focus on the rainbow, we looked at over dyeing by taking our yellow dyed binded cotton and having access to a series of dye pots that we made fresh from the dye garden. That included orange tints from Coreopsis and Sulfur Cosmos, as well as orange and yellow coming from Marigold and Scabiosa. That may be one of my favorite dye flowers, and I was so excited with all the different things we could do with that. We had wool skeins that we placed in each one of those so that we could look to see how those colors reacted with protein fiber. And then we did some shifting. We looked at the pH spectrum from acidic to alkaline shifting, and we also looked to modify with iron. Iron is also one of my favorite modifiers to work with, and so we were able to see what iron did with all of these fresh dye pots. And for myself, I ran around and I did some over dyeing dipping, where I would take some of our wool skeins and I would place part of the skein into another dye pot to see what those variations of colors could bring. And you can get quite creative with that.
Yes. Now you're a master gardener.
I am.
So what would be your favorite flower in a garden to work with as a dye plant?
I'm very fond of marigolds. They were my father's favorite plant
that's
and
lovely.
favorite flower.
We got an orange from our
Yes.
first dips,
Yes.
but then we exhausted to yellow. So marigold is a beautiful one that you can grab a couple colors.
That's right. That
Did
would
you
be
like
nice.
the orange or the yellow
I
better?
like the orange.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 I do love
Awesome.
orange.
For the second half of our last day, it was open studio time. Everyone was given a cotton tote bag and they were allowed to do anything they wanted. So they could create from all of the various things they had learned over the last 2 days, and they could apply any of those techniques or all of those techniques to their cotton tote bag. We had some really beautiful and different results, and it was always fun to see what a variation of creativity comes when you bring different artists together with the same materials, and what magic they will make to bring about incredible color combinations and patterns using natural color.
We were talking, it's really good to take the class multiple times. Like
Yeah.
I could see coming back next year, because it just, you know, if you don't do it all the time, it is a confusing thing, and having
It
guided hands and knowledge is invaluable.
Well, and it's one of my favorite parts. I'm so happy that we can do in person because I adore teaching and I adore being with people because we learn so much together, so
Right,
much more,
yeah.
and I learn so much. Do you work mostly with wool in your own fiber practice?
I do now. I started out as a mixed media artist, and I've done just the gamut. And I keep saying that every time I do something new, always adds to my bag of tricks, because it kind of crosses over into other things you do. And so, you know, every step you take to me is invaluable.
It totally is. Well, thank you so much, and I can't wait to hope that our paths cross again in the future.
Thank you.
But you always know where to find me.
I do.
And thank you again, really. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to be with you this past
it's
couple
been
of days.
for me as well.
Take care. Bye.
What would 3 days of natural dyeing be without the overall reveal? We did a lot of steam dyeing and binding, which meant that we had a grand finale where we got to open up all of our designs and see what beauty was created. And let me tell you something, we had some spectacular results. As a group, it's a wonderful way to come together and to share in the wonder that is natural color and all of the things we can do together, and we get to share and also learn from one another. We had such an incredible group of women who came out for this event with all different kinds of backgrounds, and you always walk away with new tricks to bring to your craft and just a new set of natural dyeing friends to enjoy this incredible way to get creative in your own studios. Anything else you want to share before we say goodbye for now?
If you have the chance to take a class with anyone, but with Margaret in particular, because she's wonderful.
Oh,
I've wanted to take a class with you because I watch your videos and you seem so nice, and she's just as nice in person.
a little wild, but thank you. That's so kind. I've learned so much from you too. So thank you for sharing and being so gracious with your own knowledge, because it's been really magical to learn something new and share these 3 days with you. So thank you so much, Sherry.
Yeah, I had a ball.
Yay!
During Harvesting Hues, we provided a lunch of fresh vegetables and delicious local fare that Eileen's husband, John, prepared for us. So, John, thank you so much. That piece made this particular class really extra special, and I think that everyone who attended felt exactly the same way.
Well, I want to thank you again, and I really hope that our paths cross again.
I hope so.
Because you've really been a wonderful addition to our Harvesting Hues
Thank
family.
you. Thank you. I've really enjoyed your videos, and I will keep on watching them.
Awesome.
And I do
so
hope to see you.
happy.
I'm very happy that
got
I
to
saw
meet.
this workshop and was able to
I know. I
join
love
you.
it. I
Yes.
love it. Thank you so much,
You're very
Liz.
welcome.
And thank you to my dear, dear friend Lisa for joining us for a few days to help us washing dishes and filling up buckets of water, ironing fibers, and doing all of the things needed when you run a workshop. So thank you, Lisa. It was lovely to spend the time with you, and we appreciate everything that you did to help us make it a wonderful event. And as you can see around me, this property was just such a lovely place to spend 3 days around with so many different animals. It was super entertaining to see the ducks and the chickens have fun and not so much fun with each other, as well as the goats and the sheep, which are all living here. Seeing the passion that Eileen and John have for caring for their animals on this farm was really a beautiful thing to witness, and it's just so relaxing to have the sounds of the farm animals all around you. And they kept us well entertained and company while we were out doing our various natural dye activities. And how could I finish this video without saying an incredible heartfelt thank you to my collaborator and co-teacher as well as host, Eileen, for being interested enough to work with me and for us to create such a really enriching class on natural colors. Eileen Flanagan of Junction Garden, thank you so much. I've just had the most amazing 3 days plus with you, and feel so honored to have worked with you on this first of our collaborative workshops, Harvesting Hues. So tell me, what did you think? Did you enjoy it?
I had a wonderful weekend. enjoyed it immensely and learned a lot. You know, we did things that I've done before and that I've even done quite a bit on my own in terms of techniques, but always, Margaret, when I'm listening to you, whether it's on a video or in person, I learn new things. So that was really exciting. Two things I would say that were most exciting. One was doing the tannin blanket in the Botanical Printing and just seeing the results of that. That was really exciting. And I guess the other thing, I feel like I met some really wonderful participants this year, which, and that was a joy in and of itself. And then to hear that what they really loved particularly was the fresh indigo. And that I was a little surprised about, because in some ways it's a very accessible kind of entry-level, easy thing to learn. But I do think it's true, and the women that were with us this weekend, I would think many of them have quite a bit of experience, but sometimes we jump over that, or we don't give it enough time and experimentation to really understand the incredible colors you can get with fresh indigo. Right? So that was cool to do that, but also that everybody else enjoyed it. So that was a lot of fun.
It was fun to see us have our first day be about fresh leaf. We did all kinds of processes, and then to see everybody go back on the third day during their free creative time to use fresh leaf again.
Yes.
It was by far the favorite of everybody's.
Yep.
And their blue hands show. Do you still have blue hands?
I don't.
Chance?
My hands are no longer blue.
My hands. Well, my fingernails are blue. Not so pretty, but anyway, thank you again.
Thank you, Margaret. It's a long trip for you, and greatly appreciate you being here.
And I can't wait to see you many more times in 2025.
2025, it's going to be a good year.
All right.
Thanks, Margaret.
Take care.
I am excited to announce that Eileen and I are going to do this again next year, as well as create some other classes to host here, as well as Eileen is going to join me as I look to create my next international workshop retreat, and that will be in Croatia. So look for that information. It will be next year in the fall in 2025, and we will have Harvesting Hues in September of 2025, and we're looking to create another course in the late June time in 2025 on the farm here with a completely different curriculum. So I'm hoping that you'll take a look at all of those as they come out, and maybe plan to join us either here in Maine at Junction Garden or internationally in Croatia once that class is made available. And don't forget, I am hosting my Cooking Color 2025 again in the spring in Todos Santos, Baja, where we will be looking at red, blue, and yellow of dye sources historically used in Mexico, and make the rainbow palette again on our beachside property in Baja. I hope you will join. I've put a link for that class down below, and keep an eye out for all those other ones. Let me know if there's something you'd like to study with me, and we will look at creating a curriculum that may meet your needs, and encourage you to always join us if you have the chance, because in-person workshops are by far the best. So thank you again for being here with me, and I can't wait to see you next time on Color Quest. It's creative with that. So, okay guys, you're about to start a fight? Watch out.